Today we're going to be looking at another couple of decks of playing cards. These two are simply known as Pipmen playing cards. Between these two decks, this one is just called Pipmen, and this one is called Pipmen playing cards. I don't really have any other way to designate between them without just describing what's on the cards. But let's go ahead and talk about these. The boxes themselves are both going to be the same score as a paper box with a printed picture or pattern and text to identify the cards. And even though these both have like the same name and the only way to designate them is one actually says playing cards, that's no fault of the individual decks, that's just the fault of the creators who decided not to give their decks individual names. So there's no negative points for that. As far as the material goes, let's go ahead and open one. It is put out by the Elephant Playing Card Company. It's not a US playing card air cushion finish, but it is pretty similar. I'm going to go ahead and give it the full 4 points for an air cushion finish. Hopefully you can see in the reflection there that there are some lines throughout the card. So both decks are going to get that 4 points. However, moving on to the backs of the decks is where things are going to get a little different. Also, just to note, this deck has nothing inside the box here, but this one, strangely, does have their image. It just kind of repeats throughout the entire inside of the box. Doesn't really get any extra points for that. There's not going to be any additional points for having that. But just looking at the backs here, this deck is going to be considered a picture because it has an orientation where if it's upside down, you can tell. And even though maybe you can tell, you can probably tell by looking at the faces, but regardless, if ever a card is put upside down through shuffling or anything, then it's going to look weird when you're looking at the back of someone's hand, you know? So it gets 3 points for that back. This deck, however, the, I guess, playing cards deck, this one gets the full 4 points of having a pattern made of pictures. So, right side up, upside down, this is going to be the exact same look. There's not going to be any designation if it gets flipped because it's the same image. It's kind of split right down this angle here, where this same guy is right down here on both corners. And now finally going on to the fronts of the cards, let's go ahead and start with this one. You've got extra joker almost, pretty much, or an ad or something. It's not going to count as an extra card as like the half point. I'm just going to leave it as is. Here's the other jokers. And as we go through here, you can see that these are a standard bicycle suit and pip arrangement because it's got the normal layout here and the normal shapes. However, I am going to give it the extra point for additional background pictures on pips. As we just fan through here, there's a bunch of different unique kind of images here. Of course, they're going to also get the unique royal cards. But just going through these, you can see it's got just a bunch of little random pictures of these characters doing different things and being in different places. It's kind of neat to be able to just look at them. Which means that this deck is going to get, for the face of the cards, it's going to be worth 4.2 in total. Which brings the total of this deck to 15.2 out of 20 and 76 out of 100. So pretty good deck as far as looks go. Oh, see, look, that one. See, these actually have an orientation when you're looking at them, at the face of the cards, but not so much when you're looking at the backs. I mean, it's good for the backs. I don't know, there's no negative for that on the fronts. That is the Pipmen playing cards deck. And now as we continue with the other Pipmen deck, looking at the fronts here. This deck is also the standard bicycle suits and pips. However, I am going to also give it the unique colors because the first deck that we looked at was red and black on white, where this deck is still red and black pips. The backgrounds, none of them are just a white background. They've all got either like a blue sky or a ground or something like that. So it gets an extra point for that. Of course, it also has unique royal cards. Additional background pictures on Pip cards. I am also going to give it that because it's obviously got the same kind of setup going here where there's different situations going on with these cards. Which means the faces on these cards are going to be a total of 5.2. Now, if you recall, the backs had one less point than the other deck, and now it's getting one more point than the other deck. Which means the total score of this deck is going to be the same 15.2 out of 20 and 76 out of 100, but for just a couple different reasons. And I'm just going to finish fanning through these, and that'll be the end of this video. This card that's also included not going to count as an additional card because it doesn't have any function to it other than to show you what all the cards look like lined up. So all these cards go together as a single picture, and you can see what that picture is by looking at this card. The reason I mainly don't give a point for this is because you're never going to see it while playing with the cards in any kind of card game. So, one last look here. These are the same score in total. There's only just a couple differences between these decks that I would score points for. Both 76, which is pretty strong, considering a standard plain bicycle deck would be 50 out of 100.